welcome to another Orchid collection update. Today is Saturday, September 9th, 2017, and I know I've been slacking off with the Orchid videos lately, but I guess it's better late than never. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy that little reel of Neos that I potted up in the traditional Japanese pot. I should probably do a little tour of that. Alright, so just a quick tour on my Neos. I've been potted up in my decorative pots. This first one here is the Tama Nishiki, but I'm sort of questioning the ID on it though, just because the variegation pattern, but I won't say what exactly I think it is because I'm kind of a novice. But it's potted up in a nice little Tenzin that I've recently got. And over here is another Tenzin pot with Byakko, which has intermittent variegation on the leaves. Here is a Kirin Maru. It's potted up also in Tenzin. I didn't have any long strand sphagnum moss, so I tried to do my best, but it looks okay. I've also recently got this Neo from a friend. Obviously I haven't grown that long, so it's actually pretty old. And over here we have a Manazuru that's potted up in another Tenzin. Moving over, we have a Higashi Demiyako. And over here it's not a Neo, but it's actually a Sidera Japonica that's variegated. Specifically, it's a Minmaru Shima. And this just happened to be in here, but I guess I just to say what it is. It's a Cymbidium gueringii, which is a Oriental Cymbidium. I think it might be dying. I'm not sure. I'm seeing a lot of yellowing leaves, so we'll wait and see. It has a slight marginal variegation on the edge here. Moving over, this flower has been spent, but this is my Kinko Nishiki. I got this little pot from Satomi. And last but not least, it's the Oborozuki. It has a new growth that I think it's lost its variegation, so it's kind of sad. But the pot it's in, it's really nice. Alright, that's a little tour of my all my Neos in the Tenzin pots and others. The agenda for this update is relatively short, but the content might take a little bit of time, so just bear with me. But in this video, we will talk about the Phalaenopsis species in my collection, and we're also going to talk about some of the orchids that are leafless. I currently have a few of them at the moment, so we'll just take a look at those. And follow that with a What's in Bloom segment. I don't have a lot, but I'll just share with you what I do have. And then finally, we're going to go into a little section that I like to call the bad stuff and the good stuff. The good stuff is all the plants that are doing really well, or they are in spike at the moment. The bad stuff is all the plants that are not doing so well, or I managed to kill them. I don't know what it is about this year, but for whatever reason this year it seems like maybe some sort of temperature change or something, but there's a lot of orchids that are just not doing so well. I haven't changed anything as far as my growing techniques. I'm hoping this, whatever this is, it's gonna pass soon. So that's the agenda for this update. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll catch you guys in a little bit. Bye. This is my Phalaenopsis Specioza. This is a duplicate that I have. I only bought it because it's specimen size, and it has so many spikes on it already, so I figure I might just buy another one, because the one I already have is pretty small, and it'll be quite a number of years before I'll see it in bloom. I put it inside this basket because it had grown so much roots into the netted basket that it was grown, and I was afraid to actually remove it from there without damaging a substantial amount of roots. So I just placed it in this basket and hoping for the best. But since I've gotten it, it has produced these wonderful blooms. 2, which is actually all red, which is amazing. I'm not really sure what the factor is, but I have a feeling it has something to do with temperature. Let me pull back so that you see the full size of it. But yeah, some of these have been blooming for a little bit, so they're starting to fade. But yeah, they look really, really nice. Over here, where my mounted orchids are, I have my Phalaenopsis. I think this is the Cymbidium. Yeah, it is. It's not really doing much, just developing more leaves. And next to that is the Wilsonii, which I thought was going to die, but it actually grew some more leaves out, so that's pretty good, since I didn't have to replace that. Down here is my Phalaenopsis Ledenii. It's not really doing much either, just developing more leaves. And over here we have my Phalaenopsis hieroglyphica, and this is the remnant of the spike that it developed in the early spring, which it developed 2 buds, but something ate it off and then it dried up, so that's kind of sad. But yeah, it's just growing leaves now. And over here, my Phalaenopsis parisi, it bloomed a couple months ago. It was very nice. It was very fragrant, and right now it's developing roots for the year. It had lost a lot of leaves during the time of the bloom, but as you can see now, it's recovered quite nicely. This is my Phalaenopsis Lea that's looking really, really sad. I thought I lost this one because it was also infested with mealybugs. I tried to treat it with like alcohol and a soap solution. It nearly killed everything, like even the spike that it was developing. So all the leaves dropped, and then the spike eventually turned brown, and I had to cut it off, and all the roots just died, and all the moss that was mounted turned that color. So I was pretty bummed by that. But as you can see, it popped out a new leaf. So I'm also very glad that it didn't die. Man, these things are pretty tough. Yeah, I was very, very surprised that I threw out this leaf. And we're taking a look at my Phalaenopsis lobii. This particular one is a Flavilabia variety. I've never seen it bloom before. I've gotten this pretty small recently, and it's put out these 2 very healthy leaves with a few roots coming out at the base. I gotten it mounted on one of those fern mounts, which I absolutely hate because they break and they'll like leave a big mess everywhere. So I unmounted that and then used this slab of wood that I've gotten from Louisiana Orchid Connection, which I think it looks really nice on it. So yeah, that's one of them. And I have another, like a sibling of that. This is a different variety. This is the Aria variety. Poor thing, I've dropped something on it and it broke all the leaves. I've gotten this one that came out, and there's another one that's coming out soon. But this one is also doing really, really well, considering all the things that has happened. Some of the older roots here have started to died off, but we've got a couple of new ones that's coming out, so there's no worry there. But yeah, those are my 2 lobiis. Moving up to the shelves, I have, this is my Phalaenopsis amboinensis putting out a new leaf. And that's basically all that's been happening. Here is my Balena. It's looking really, really sad. The leaves are a little less than pristine, but it's putting out a new one. So that's good. It seems like it's was having some trouble or something, because the leaf previous to that, it didn't develop as quite as big as this one. So I'm not sure what happened there. But moving over, let me pan out a little bit. This is my Phalaenopsis gigantea. It's still a little baby, but that is the biggest leaf it has ever produced, so pretty impressive. I don't know how far it needs to go before it's gonna bloom, but I have a feeling it probably needs a little bit, maybe another year or so. But it's sold to me as a near blooming size. That's the biggest leaf that I got when I received it. But yeah, that one's nice. Down here is my Phalaenopsis javanica. It's in bloom right now, but as you can see, a large chunk of it has been eaten off by, again, probably a snail or a slug. I've been having a lot of problems with that lately. But as you can see, there's a new leaf coming out. It looks pretty good. Also more evidence of slugs or snails. Moving here is my Stuartiana. Not looking the best. A couple leaves had developed over the spring and summer, all of which were smaller than the previous one, but this one looks very, a little more helpful. Here is my Phalaenopsis Bellina, the variety Alba. It's gotten attacked by spider mites, I think. This is the newest leaf that it has. Still not looking the best either. I don't know what this one is. It's in a perpetual state of recovery for some reason. So we're just sitting waiting, I guess. Moving over is my Phalaenopsis Violacea variety Cerulean. This is the newest leaf since spring. It's looking better, a little bigger than the last one. You can see there. Last one is pretty much like a nubbin, but looking good. Here is my very unfortunate Fimbriata. It keeps getting eaten by something, and it's always somewhere in the middle of the leaf. And this is due to sunburn. Yeah, it was pretty bad. This one, I don't know. It just, all kinds of bad stuff happens to it. It's doing okay otherwise, I guess. If it had not been for the slug, it would look fine. But that's just, I feel like this is just cosmetics. Moving on, this is my Trespass, the regular one. I had a screen door that like fell on it this way, so you can see some of the markings here. It cut off the leaf here, so and I lost a spike. Originally it came with two, but it's doing great actually. I got a new leaf here, so we're going to forget about the scars pretty soon. Here is my Corningiana, developing a new leaf. It's looking good. Here is one of my Cornucervi. This one is a Flava variety. I think I got it from Hausmann. It developed this spike during the winter, but it never bloomed. Maybe it's too young at that point, but it's looking good. Keeps developing these skinny leaves. Over here, my Schilleriana. That's the TKP cultivar. It is a very vigorous species. It puts out these very flat, warty roots that keeps wanting to adhere to the sand that it sits on. So it only takes about 2 or 3 days for it to like really attach itself. So I always have to keep an eye on it to make sure that I can still, remove it from the shell without damaging anything. But very beautiful model leaves. It's the biggest leaf I've ever produced. It's getting close to my bigger Schilleriana. So really rewarding species. Highly recommended. This is my Ludamaniana, variety red times sibling, and it has a lot of growths on it, and they're all just growing. But the curious thing is that the older leaves develop these flax blotches. I don't know if that's a fungal infection or not, but it seems to be a very common observance among some of my species Phalaenopsis. So I don't know what that's about. I have a feeling it might be a fungal issue, but it doesn't seem like it's inhibiting growth or anything. So I didn't really do anything about it. But it is easy. There, new growths here and there. I think this species is pretty prone to keiki, so that's what you're seeing. Over here is my second Cornucervi. It's very prone to rot, this particular individual. I don't know what's about it, but this one bloomed for me a couple times. Hopefully this rotting will stop sometime soon because it looks pretty gross. Over here is my Pulchra, developing its biggest leaf to date, and it's growing pretty tall. Other than that, no new changes. This is my Trespass C1, and it looks like it's about to bloom again. As you can see, there's a bud that's forming on this spike. Also one on here. It has lost a few older leaves, which I'm sort of glad because those leaves look pretty terrible from the spider mite damage over the winter. But we have a couple of new leaves growing now. This latest one is smaller than the previous. You see there's another one that's forming, but it looks like it was eaten by something. Over here we have my Phalaenopsis doing really well. I lost one leaf, which is okay, but produced these two that are very big and substantial. I can't really show it well here, or maybe you can see it, but roots that's growing in the pot here, it has adhered itself into the ceramic pot, so I don't think I can get it out now in the future. So any excess water that accumulates in the ceramic pot, I'll just have to dump it out with the orchid still in there. Right, here is a water culture orchid. It's the Inscriptio sinensis. I normally don't keep my water culture orchids outside due to the risk of having mosquito lay their eggs in here, but I recently had to clean all of my water culture orchids out, so I just left this particular one here to show. As you can see in there are 3 spikes, all of which are developing a single bud as far as I can tell. So it's doing really good. There's only 2 leaves there, but it's there. I can see one more is growing. And down here is another water culture orchid. This is the Venosa. It is also growing really well. There's a little algae that actually develop on the roots, and that's kind of interesting. This flower spike that never bloomed is actually became a keiki. And over here on this shelf, this is my Phalaenopsis fuscata. It has developed a new leaf there. It's looking really good. I'm sort of glad that it did that because we don't have to see these watermarks on the older leaves forever. I still haven't cut off the flower spike that's spent, but I'm hoping that it will rebloom again from them. I'm not sure if this one is a sequential bloomer or not. When I bought it, the attendant at the nursery told me that it did like extended and put out a few blooms, so maybe it is. I'm not really sure. Over here is another Stuartiana, which is a little bit bigger and more mature. This one is a nobilis variety. And this leaf that it developed for me since I've gotten it had like 0 modeling, but I can sort of tell from this newer leaf that's coming out that it could be a little bit more modeled. I'm not sure. This one I'm pretty sure is going to bloom before the other one. This is my Phalaenopsis Violacea. This is my very first Phalaenopsis species that I've ever gotten. It has a bud on this spike, and there's a bud on this spike, but looks like something has partially eaten that bud. I should probably throw out some slug pellets or something out tonight just to prevent this one from being eaten as well. But it has been blooming since the spring, so that's really good. I guess it's trying to make up for the 1 or 2 years that it didn't bloom, so it's all good. And this is another Violacea. It's actually a different variety. variety, an indigo variety. I got this from a Taiwan nursery that brought it over here when they were doing a show somewhere over in the West Coast. But I don't know if it's blooming size or not, but it's looking pretty sad right now because it's there's a lot of leaf damage. I didn't receive it in the best condition. As you can see here, some of the leaves were torn. And this is fairly recent. I don't know what happened here, but yeah, it didn't look good. But the news leaf here looks pretty good. So just waiting, I guess. I don't know if it's blooming size or not, but it looks about this blooming size. Next to that is Phalaenopsis deliciosa. It's currently in spike, and I think it might be opening up soon from these tiny buds. Next to that is another one from the same Taiwan nursery. It's a Amboinensis, the Flava variety. Just growing, I guess. Next to that is a Phalaenopsis Specioza, which at this point I think it's just a synonym for the Trespassy one. I don't know. I got a little sunburn on this leaf and this newest leaf. So I've moved it since then. This is my Phalaenopsis Bastianii, also from the Taiwan nursery. It's pretty big. Nothing else to say about it. It has I do believe this one is a sequential bloomer, so I'm keeping these old spikes. Next we have a Phalaenopsis equestris variety blue, and it's currently in bloom. It looks really nice. I love the pale, I probably call that purple lip. It's very prominent, and the sepals, the lateral sepal, they push back quite a bit. Let me see if I can show it to you. I don't know if that will show up very well on camera, but it looks really nice. I like the form of it. No fragrance as far as I can detect. Here we have my Phalaenopsis manii. The bloom that it produced over the spring, the spike like faded. So it's just growing right now. And the last two in my Phalaenopsis species collection are these two big guys. You've seen them before. First one here is my Phalaenopsis Tana, the Purpurea variety. I had repotted it in this hanging basket because it's gotten really big. And I've decided to go with these baskets because if I upgraded to a bigger size pot, what I was afraid of is that it never dries out completely through this end of the pot in between watering, so I figured this is better. And it looks like it's doing much better because the roots are attaching to the basket pretty well. I've opted to just sort of put it in there on the side like that because I know eventually that's what's going to happen later. But it has lost a couple of leaves, older leaves, which you know, I don't mind. But it's developing this one this year, and there's another one that's coming through that I can see. But it's looking a little bit pale in color because it's receiving a lot of light out here outside versus indoor growing. And last but not least is my Phalaenopsis hieroglyphica, which is it's also been unpotted and repotted into these hanging baskets. It's doing well. It's putting out a basil keiki, which is kind of surprising, and something right next to that. In addition, it has developed 3 new spikes, which is pretty cool. There's one spike that it lost. A couple of leaves have been yellowing up like this. I imagine it was due to the higher intensity of light that it receives outside, hanging under the tree. Furthermore, there's these black markings as well. Similar to the Ludamaniana that we saw earlier. I don't know what that's about, but like I said, I think it's a fungal thing. But it doesn't seem like it affects the growth of the plant because it's pushing out, you know, a whole bunch of leaves, a whole bunch of spikes. There's all kinds of roots that's developing and adhering to the basket. So by that measure, I don't think it's affecting the plant at all. So I didn't really worry too much about it. If you happen to know what that it's about, if you don't mind sharing that information with me in the comment section below, I would appreciate it. I'm hoping some of these leaves will eventually shed, because I mean, even though it doesn't do anything, it doesn't look very nice. So that is my Phalaenopsis species collection. I think I have about 40 something individuals at the moment, which I'm hoping to get some more. But yeah, that's about it. This is my Phalaenopsis Tana. It's in bloom right now with one bud. There's actually another spike up here. They both look really healthy. And this one had a spike early in the spring, but then aborted for unknown reasons. But I'm glad it put out a couple more spikes. This is one more than has ever produced for me. So I'm hoping to maintain this spike so it grows a little bit longer, because I think it looks really nice when it's pendulous. These fading blooms are on my very first Panda that I've ever had. I'm having to hold it up right now to show off because it's quite top heavy, and I need to figure out how to remedy that. But right now I'm kind of watering it, letting it soak. But originally I thought it might have been a yellow flower. This is a no ID, but turns out it's a very nice pink color. And in the earlier stages, the lower sepals down there, it had a slightly different shade of pink. So I'm guessing it might have a Sanderiana parent somewhere, maybe. I don't know, but yeah, it's grown quite a bit. This is the first time it's bloomed for me. I've taken care of this plant for years and years and years before I've ever gotten an orchid to rebloom. So yeah, that was very nice. And here's a look of a couple other things that are in bloom. So here we are in the part where I'm not really proud of, but these are all the bad stuff that's been happening to my orchid. This is my Dimeforcus Lea. It has a developing rot at the tip of this new leaf here, and this root was growing pretty quickly, but then suddenly just kind of stopped. I don't know what that's what's going on there, but I am slightly concerned. I'm hoping that this I think I'm gonna cut this part off, and I just hope that the infection or whatever doesn't spread to the core. Then we'll be in real danger if it does. These are the remaining catasetums that I have. I've lost a few since the spring. I don't know what it is about this year that has given me so much trouble with these guys, but it looks like I might be losing this one as well. There was a new growth that's forming, but something ate it off, and now we got nothing. So I don't know if there's any available eye left for it to sprout new leaves, but it's already at the end of August, and I don't know if there's enough time for it to push something out and go back into dormancy again. I'm not sure. And this growth here that developed, it's significantly smaller than the growth that I received from Sunset Valley Orchids. Most of my catasetum types are doing terrible. This Signochi's Taiwan Gold, I lost the main plant that it came from, so I had to cut it off, but it grew this tiny growth, so I'm really hoping that it'll survive. This is my BL Richard Muller, and it produced these two new growths during the spring, but it looks like it's on a downward spiral at the moment. The older leaves are really wrinkly, and I don't see any new roots coming through, except for a few that doesn't look like it's really helping that much. This is my Lea Dora that I ordered from a person on Facebook, and the leaf that it had developed, once I got it, was rotting, and it went all the way to the core of the plant. So I don't think there's any more growths coming through this particular plant anymore. So I developed this basil keiki, which doesn't look like it's the best thing in the world. There's some spots on it, so it's not looking the best. This is my Phalaenopsis Lucky Star. It was doing fantastic during the winter and last year, but this year we got leaves that are significantly smaller, and it just doesn't look very healthy. All of my Oncidium Alliance plants are looking really terrible. They just don't have some of the vigor that I see in my Phalaenopsis. So I'm sort of thinking that I might do away with some of these. I'll definitely not be getting any more in the future. But this is my Miltassia estrelita, I think, or what's left of it. I've gave a chunk away. This is the like a back bulb, which I'm hoping would like grow well again, but it didn't happen. This is the baby Sherry baby that has never rebloomed for me since that one time, and that's also looking pretty bad too. Maybe it's because the heat here that's not to its liking. I don't know. But this is the other one. This is Oncidium Moon Shadow Tiger Crow. All the pseudobulbs are very wrinkly. Sorry about the lighting from my LED, but yeah, it just doesn't look that great. And this is the plant whose name I cannot pronounce, but there's a tag for you. It had developed a spike during the spring. It looked really good. There were buds coming on. I brought it inside, but then all the buds blasted. So that was not cool. So right now, we're kind of starting over again. I can sort of see a couple new growths happening, but in addition to that, I've lost 1 or 2 growths from rot. I don't know what's going on or why that happened. It was looking fine, but that's just one of my orchids that are not doing so well at the moment. This is my FDK After Dark Sunset Valley Orchids. The growth that is put on this year is significantly smaller. I don't know if it's going to bloom this year or not, but that was a very a big surprise to me, because it's been consistently been doing well for the past few years. I don't know what it is about this year that has made this growth very, very small. Yeah, I'm not having the best of luck with cataseediums this year. This is a Cymbidium and Folium variety or cultivar Jinchi. I got this one from a Tenxing representative that had a talk on Oriental Cymbidiums, but as you can see, it's slowly dying, which is heartbreaking because the leaves is variegated. There's a new growth right here, but there's a small risk that it will turn black, just like many of the other ones that developed over the past few months. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. As far as I can tell, I'm providing everything that they told me to do, which is kind of like, you know, warm, not too soggy, and I kept it outside, so yeah, I must be infected with something and just slowly eating away. It's kind of sad. I'm not sure what it is about this year that has caused so many casualties in my orchid collection, but I've saved some of the tags of lost orchids recently just to show you guys. These are just the ones that I have tags for them. I've lost a few other ones that I just didn't have tags. Most notably, I've lost my variegated Phalaenopsis that was in water culture, the variegated Amabilis. That was my very first orchid in water culture. It had died due to, actually I knew what it is that I had killed it. It was more of a neglect thing, because I took it out of the glass container to clean out the glass vase that it was sitting in. When I put it back, the orchid back, I forgot to refill the water in there, and all the roots just like died, like it dried up and shriveled. And when I tried to pour more water back in, it created an infection of some sort, and then it rotted out the core of the plant. So that died fairly quickly. So that one was mainly due to me, but then the other ones here, I'm not sure what happened. Like this Cattleya Moscon variegata, that's the variegated Cattleya. Although this one, when I received it, it didn't do well for me at all. The leaves just kept turning black and proceeded to shed one by one, and eventually I had pretty much no pseudobulbs left, and all the ones that I do have like shriveled up pretty bad. A couple ones here, they're kind of new, so I don't feel really bad about losing them. It's all the ones that are like been with me for a long time that died, and that's the one that I feel really bad about, like my variegated Phalaenopsis. But yeah, I just want to show you guys that. You can't win all the time, I guess. A couple of new things that are developing that I'm really excited about. This is 2 buds on my Phalaenopsis Dragon Tree Eagle I got from Hauserman. What's really interesting is that the spike that you see there, it's very short. When I first saw it, it was growing pretty well, and then something ate the tip of it. But then the tip like grew back, which is really, I've never seen that happen before. That's really, really awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing what this looks like. These are developing buds on my primary cross of Javanica and hieroglyphica. That was Phalaenopsis Javanica crossed with hieroglyphica. I got this from the tension representative, and those are 2 buds on the spike, and there's another one that's under the leaf here that I hope I can show you. It's grown just right out from the pot, and there's an older one that is pre-existing, but I think the tip was damaged. I don't know if anything's gonna come out of that, but there's also a new very nice glossy leaf coming out too, so it's looking really good. And here we have a Phalaenopsis irene spike that has been developing since late spring or early summer, I forgot, but it came out before this one has been dried up, so it has given me 3 spikes I guess since winter, so within a period of less than a year. So this Phalaenopsis has been very, very productive, which I really like. This is my Arangus Cardinal Gem. It's currently in spike, which is kind of right on time for it to be. This year it's only 1 spike, but maybe that means it'll produce more blooms on it. But we'll see. It probably won't bloom until maybe December or something like that, or maybe November, October, somewhere in the fall, winter time frame. This is my Phalaenopsis Silverleaf. It's a primary cross between equestris and deliciosa. The spike that it came up with didn't develop any blooms, but developed this apical cakey. Doesn't look like it's ready to come off yet, but the spike that it developed for me, I think it might be turning into a apical cakey as well. So I have no idea what this is supposed to look like, but it looks like I'm not going to be seeing any blooms soon. I don't really know what this one will look like, but from what I can see, I'm not going to know what it looks like for a little bit longer. But the foliage is pretty nice. It does have a very silvery sheen to it, and it's undulating on the, or ruffled on the edge there, which is really nice. This is my Schomburgkia undulata, and it's currently in spike. The last time it was in spike, it actually had bordered its during the middle of winter. So I'm giving it full sun this year, just no shade whatsoever, and it seems to be doing fine. And the pseudobulb that the spike is developing on, it's the biggest one I've ever seen on this plant. So that looks very promising. I'm hoping that this will continue on and produce blooms in the near future. I know I haven't been pretty good about not buying orchids, but some amazing stuff have come up recently that I knew if I'm not going to buy it right now at that point, I'll probably miss it. So I just want to do a quick video to feature them. This is a Dendrobium Speciosa that's uniquely variegated. There is a variety name for you there. It's interesting in that I think what it does is that the newest growth will come out variegated like this, and it'll turn green. I think that's what I looked it up as it's saying in this variety. And there is a new growth here that's also variegated, and this is looking good. This is not a mature size. I think it's supposed to go as big as the regular variety of Speciosum, which is fairly large, but that's cool because it's variegated. Next to that is a variegated Cymbidium japonica. I know I already have one. It's a Minmaru Shima, but this one is a Nagoran Shima, so it's a lot bigger than the Minmaru. This, of course, is a very tiny, immature size plant, so it'll get bigger, I think. So I just want to include those two because they're pretty awesome, I think. I've gotten my tripod out to show you guys this very tiny orchid. It's a leafless type, and this is the name of it is Phylum obtusum. And the really interesting thing is that it has a fruiting body developing there, and also down there. And I didn't pollinate the flowers. I'm guessing an insect might have, or the neighborhood cat, I don't know. But I don't know what to do with these. I'm sort of thinking that I might ask John from Louisiana Orchid Collection, where I got this plant from, to see if they're willing to do the flasking for me. But then after that, I don't really know what to do, because I don't want to have a whole bunch of these guys, even though they're really cool. But I thought that was interesting to share. I've recently taken out my Phalaenopsis from under the terrarium and mounted it to this slab. And I think it's doing a lot better than inside there. As you can see here, if I try to zoom in as close as possible, you can see that there are no new root tips developing, which is really nice. I have quite a number of viable individuals left. I'm pretty sure there's more than one in there, and all these are individual plants. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of them, but for now I can keep all of them because they're so small. They look like little spaghetti or something. Yeah, they all got green root tips now since I've taken out of the terrarium. And this is my other Dendrophylax. This is the Funalis. It's a little more advanced than my Ledinii, but it's also doing well. This is my Phalaenopsis Specioza. It's been recently mounted, and it's doing really well. Recently, it developed this one leaf for some reason. I guess it wasn't receiving enough sunlight or something, but it just, the one leaf, nothing else developing on it, so I try to give it more light. Maybe that's why it's not giving it any more leaves. So that's that. This is the other Phylacisa that I have. It's a collection of multiple individuals. I think at least 4 of them in here, but not blooming in the spring there. But it's doing well. It's developing roots. And the last leafless orchid that I have is the Solanangus phyla. And it is, it's kind of hard to tell on camera here, but there is a stem, a very long one, with a whole bunch of roots growing everywhere. I also got this from LLC Orchids as well. They have the best stuff as far as leafless orchids. I got this from, I got this sometime last year. It has been doing well for me since then. There are new root tips. They make numerous small white flowers, I believe. But I don't know if this is blooming size or not. It seems like it's not. It is placed here next to my Dendrophylax Ledinii babies. Well, we've come to the conclusion of this update, and as you can see, we've ran into the nighttime. This update has taken so long that I've just ran out of time during the day. So we're doing it now. But before I go, I just want to leave you with a couple of points. First, a couple of videos back, I said that I was not going to buy any more orchids for the rest of the year, and so I made a huge purchase at that time. But as it turns out, that was a very unrealistic goal, as I have purchased so many orchids, probably more than I ever done in that time frame. The needles got to me really, really bad. I'm probably still gonna get some more anyways. That's how it goes, I guess. I'm still wanting to save for a house, and one of the things that I'm gonna try is just to I guess lower the cost of living. And to do that, I am planning to move after my lease ends. So this update might be the final update here. I've already found a place that I'll be starting to move sometime in the next few weeks or so. But that's going to happen over the course of several months, so it's not going to be, one quick moving day or something like that. I would definitely save a lot of money there, because it's like more than half the cost of this place. And I also have a roommate too, so, we'll split stuff. Alright, that's probably it for me. I'm going to go rest now because I'm pretty tired. But thank you as always for watching, and I'll catch you guys the next one. Bye.